The fate of Philippine Offshore Gaming Operators, or POGOs, in the country remains uncertain as two senators raised some concerns about red flags in the POGOs' continuous operations. Government regulator Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation, or Pagcor, however, says they work to ensure all offshore licensees follow the law. Pagcor asserts that the POGO industry, given proper support, will benefit the economy. Good evening, I'm Pia Hontiveros. Welcome to your weekly political appointment fix, politics as usual. A senator believes the state-run Philippine Amusement and Gaming Corporation, or Pagcor, was deceived by an audit company into believing its operations were legitimate. On Monday, Pagcor was grilled during a hearing on Philippine Offshore Gaming Operators, or POGOs. Here's Amor Santos with the details.
Should the government shut down all Philippine offshore gaming operators, or POGOs, amid their involvement in various crimes? There's no answer yet from the Senate. In its fourth hearing on taxes collected from POGOs, it was revealed that even the company tapped by Pagcor to look into POGO revenues has red flags over its operations. In 2017, a 6 billion peso contract was awarded to Global Com RCI Consortium to audit the gross gaming revenues or income of POGOs to determine how much taxes they should pay. But local government units say the third-party auditor has no business permit. Pagcor says it submitted a mayor's permit from Parañaque, but in the address it gave lies a house instead of a commercial building.
This supposedly office was the basis to approve the third-party auditor. But this is nowhere can be an office of a third-party auditor, of a credible third-party auditor.
For Senator Win Gatchalian, chairman of the Ways and Means Committee, it seems Pagcor was duped. Under the law, the third-party auditor should have at least 1 billion pesos in operating capital. Documents submitted by Global Com RCI show it has over 1 billion pesos in Soleil Chartered Bank. But Soleil is not registered with the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas, which means it is not allowed to operate in the country.
Soleil Chartered Bank seems to be they issue some form of guarantee, whether bank guarantee, letter of credit, or other instruments. The supplier will sell based on that guarantee. And when their supplier would collect, they cannot collect anymore. That hence the litigation. Budol talaga. Classic budol talaga ito. Either nabudol kayo o nagpabudol kayo. No?
Gatchalian suspects a conspiracy between Global Com RCI and some POGO companies to underdeclare revenues to pay lower taxes. It did not send a representative to the Senate hearing. Gatchalian says it may also be in cahoots with some former Pagcor officials, something the Blue Ribbon Committee should investigate. Senators also grilled Pagcor over the continued operations of a POGO company tagged in a kidnap for ransom case. It was fined 500,000 pesos.
Dito lumalabas yung conflict of interest. Kumikita kayo on one hand, pero on the other hand, you're regulating. But your regulation, makita naman natin, pang bata. Mabagal pa.
In the first place, walang POGO crimes kung hindi ninyo binigyan ng POGO license yung mga kumpanya na yan, di ba? Karga di konsensya pa rin ninyo.
Senate Public Order Chairman Dela Rosa wants Pagcor to give POGOs an ultimatum that one more involvement in any crime would mean the end to their business in the country.
Hawakan nyo sila sa liig. It's about time na we have to assert our supremacy over them. Kung hindi natin kaya yung supremacy nila sa West Philippine Sea, we are supreme here dito sa ating POGO operations.
Amor Santos, CNN Philippines.
Now, our first guest tonight, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Public Order and Dangerous Drugs, and also one of the two senators who's raised some concerns about the so-called red flags in Pagcor and this 6 billion peso contract with Globalcom RCI. Senator Ronald Bato Dela Rosa. Good evening, Senator. Thank you very much for being with us tonight.
Hello, good evening, Pia, and thank you for having me in your program.
Yes, sir. Well, Senator, apparently it was you that supplied the word budol, nabudol or nagpabudol to Senator Gatchalian during the Senate hearing. Rinig na rinig po yung boses nyo. You thought of that word because for you, budol ba nangyari talaga?
Well, apparently, yan ang nangyari. Kasi, yun nga, mag-start lang tayo doon sa, yung bangko na nagbigay ng certification na meron silang ganong halaga na nakadeposit doon. Yung Soliel, ay hindi na pala ito registered with the central bank. To start with, yun na, may pagdududa na tayo doon.
Okay.
Tapos sumunod.
Walang business permit, yung opisina nasa isang bahay.
O yun nga, the more nga nagdududa tayo, tapos palipat-lipat pa yung kanilang address. Para bang, ewan ko, bakit palipat-lipat kung ganito yung ang qualification according to the National Internal Revenue Code na kailangan ang third party auditor ay isang the third party auditor shall be independent, reputable, internationally known, and duly accredited as such by an accrediting or similar agency recognized by industry experts. So, ganyan bang reputable, internationally known, na kahit na locally, hindi makapag-establish ng proper address at mahirap i-locate?
Sir, well,
ganun ba? So, more questions are being asked sa kanila. Nahirapan naman din sila magsumunod.
Yung Pagcor po ba, sir, hindi ba dapat gumawa, kung baga due diligence, no? Wala bang due diligence? Dapat tinitingnan yun eh. May business permit ba? Chinek ba kung totoo yung business permit? Chinek yung bangko? Chinek kung kung rehistrado sa Bangko Sentral? At marami pang iba. Wala po bang due diligence dyan?
Kasama yan sa trabaho nila. In fact, tinanong namin kung nabisitahan ba nila yung opisina ng
Globalcom RCI.
O Globalcom RCI. At sasabi nung Pagcor, nabisitahan daw niya once. At yun nga, nakita niya parang bahay lang na maraming nakasampay. Parang hindi opisina. At sabi ko, tinanong ko, ikaw man ang Pagcor, kayo man nag-regulate niyan, hindi ka ba nagdududa sa itong kumpanya na ito? At hindi na masagot-sagot kung nagdududa sila o hindi.
The other question, sir, is that if this contract was signed in 2017, it is now 2023, clearly 5-6 years afterwards, bakit ang tagal bago lumitaw ito?
Well, dahil nga dito sa investigasyon natin na nagsimula doon sa mga Pogo-related crimes, tapos hanggang sa sumunod yung committee ni Senator Gatchalian, nag-imbestiga na naman sa mga social cost at yung as against the revenues na nakukolekta natin dito from Pogo operations. So ito na-dig up na ito lahat hanggang sa dumating na itong punto na ito, na nakita yung about the third party. Kasi nagtataka tayo, bakit na maliliit lang yung nakukulikta natin sa Pogo. Mayroon namang third party auditor. Kasama niya sa duda na baka mamaya yung third party auditor ay kakutsaba ng mga Pogo operators na under-declare yung kanilang gaming revenues, yung kanilang income para kukunti lang ang magiging tax nila na pabayaran sa So, tama na yan, ang inimbestigahan.
Oo. Senator De Losa, is it true that Globalcom RCI did not send a representative to the hearing? And if that is the case, are you going to demand are you going to demand their attendance in the next one? We'll ask you to answer that question when we come back. Politics as usual. We'll be right back. Stay tuned. Welcome back. This is Politics as usual. Senator Bato Dela Rosa is still with us as a guest on this show. But wait, are we going to go to Senator Bato first or okay? Senator Bato, that hanging question before we went to a break, I was asking kung yung Globalcom RCI, are you going to demand their presence in the next hearing?
Yes. I made the motion during the committee hearing that Globalcom RCI should be invited in the next hearing.
All right. Senator Bato Dela Rosa, please stand by, sir. An exclusive on CNN Philippines. The Pagcor chief speaking up to clarify the agency's involvement in some issues hounding the country's offshore gaming operators, or POGOs. These include the state-run gaming corporation's contract signed in 2017 with a third-party POGO auditor, which some senators say has no capacity or credibility. Our correspondent Rex Remigio tells us how the Pagcor chair responded to the allegations.
In 2017, Pagcor awarded a contract to Globalcom RCI Consortium to serve as a third-party auditor for offshore gaming operators, or POGOs, in the Philippines. In a Senate hearing on Monday, however, some senators questioned why Globalcom RCI was chosen, despite the consortium's alleged lack of qualifications. Pagcor Chair Al Tenco told CNN Philippines the contract with Globalcom RCI was among those that he placed under review after assuming his post in August 2022. When he found out the consortium had not been able to commit to its deliverables, he ordered their legal department to further investigate the contract. That was just a month after he and his board of directors assumed office. He says the contract then was already over 5 years old.
I can tell you, Rex, that soon, very soon, we are coming out with a decision whether we will still allow the third-party auditor to continue rendering services for us or the possibility of terminating the contract.
On the allegations of senators that there's a lack of urgency in curbing the illegal activities of POGOs, Tenco says they're doing their best. He also says there have been no reported criminal activities or kidnapping-related incidents of POGO workers in the last 3 months, after authorities intensified their crackdown on them. The Pagcor chair adds the Justice Department dismissed the case against MOA Cloud Zone Corporation, while the case against Brickhearts Technology is still under investigation.
Hindi naman namin basta pwedeng ipasara yun. Hindi ko naman pwedeng basta ipakansela yung kanyang lisensya na ipinagkaloob din naman, hindi din namin nung nakaraang board.
Tenco meanwhile says he's open to Gatchalian's suggestion on having a separate regulator for Pagcor and for casinos. He adds they're also studying the possibility of privatizing all Pagcor-run casinos and instead focus on its role as a regulator.
Marami rin namang points and things to consider. You have to consider employees, for example. We have close to 14,800 employees, if I'm not mistaken. Hindi naman basta-basta mo pababayaan nyo. Ako naman may puso't may damdamin din.
Rex Remigio, CNN Philippines.
Still with us is Senator Ronald Bato Dela Rosa. Sir, you heard that report and Al Tenco, Pagcor chairman's, the Pagcor chairman, at ang kanyang paliwanag. And he was saying, and I quote, "I can tell you that very soon we're coming out with a decision whether we will still allow the third-party auditor, meaning Globalcom RCI, to continue rendering services for us or the possibility of terminating that contract." Is that going to be enough for you, for the Senate, sir, or should there be more?
Maybe for a start, maganda yan. Dapat ganong action ang gagawin nila. We are expecting that na kung talaga nag-aalangan sila, medyo nagdududa sila, din ihinto na nila. Pwede naman nilang ihinto yung kontrata na yan. Mayroon mga provision ng kontrata na kapag hindi sila satisfied sa performance ng third-party auditor, pwede nilang ihinto yung kontrata.
Sinabi din po ni Mr. Tenco that he is hoping that the senators will name those they think are involved in the contract and other issues. Are you prepared to do that?
Well, in due time. Kapag nakuha natin lahat ng detalye. Kaya nga, with their cooperation, malalaman natin lahat-lahat ito. Mas maganda yan. Kami pa sa Senado, hahamunin niya ng magpapangalan. We are the ones investigating. Kaya, huwag maghintay sila. Malalaman rin yan. Senator Gatchalian is very much interested in investigating this case.
So, kumukuha pa lang kayo ng detalye, pero alam nyo na po, kilala nyo na po, sir. Right?
Records will show kung sino yung mga tao involved dyan, sino yung mga nag-enter ng contract between Pagcor at saka yung consortium na yan. So, malalaman rin natin yan. Public records man yan, public document man yan. Malalaman natin yan.
Okay. Of course, sir, this is not the only problem facing Pagcor and POGOs, and you yourself said during that Senate hearing na can you explain what exactly you meant and how exactly you're going to go about this? Na para bang isa na lang, one more crime at hindi na kayo pwede makalusot dito or something to that effect. What were you saying, sir, there? What did you mean?
Yeah, to properly contextualize yung situation nung nasabi ko yan, ay ganito po yun. Yun nga, I was encouraging Pagcor to do their part para nga yung kanilang position naman talaga is to maintain Pogo operations. Yung position nila is dapat daw hindi kagad hindi isara ang Pogo. So sabi ko, you help us help you. So, dapat ganon ang mangyayari. Kayo man ang regulator, ihawakan nyo sa leeg itong Pogo companies. Sabihan ninyo na magpapatawag kayo ng summit ng mga Pogo companies at bigyan nyo ng warning. Sabihan nyo, isang kriminal lang involving Pogo operators. Tapos na kayo. We will hang all your companies. Hindi na namin kayo pa-operate dito. Kasi kung ganyan lang kasi palaging ipipinalize lang sila ng 500,000 pesos ba yun? Parang 500,000 pesos yung penalty nila for doing misdemeanors. Sabihin nila, wala yan. Malaki income natin na baliwala yan kung ganyan lang pala. We can continue committing crimes here in the Philippines. So, sabi ko nga, sila man ang nag-regulate. Pagka nakita nila na na-involve sa krimen yung kumpanya ng Pogo, din dapat incumbent on their part na tanggalin nila yung permit ng mga kumpanya na yan and send these people back to where they belong. Pauwiin na yan at bakit andito lang yan sila? Kumikita sila dito sa ating bansa at nanggugulo pa sila. That's unacceptable na nanggugulo, gawa ng krimen na walang respeto sa ating gobyerno, walang respeto sa ating bansa. Ganun na lang sila ka bold and daring na gumawa ng krimen. You can just imagine yung nag-kidnap nung latest, this pertains to the privilege speech delivered by Senator Grace Poe na isang Filipina-Chinese na nag-apply ng Pogo, pagtanggap sa kanya, ibenta siyang another company Pagdating doon sa kumpanya na yon, ay tinawagan yung pamilya nung babae na magbayad kayo ng 250 kung gusto niyo makautong inyong kapatid dahil ito ang binayaran namin, 250, binili namin ito ng 250,000 from the first company. So, grabe, meron ng trafficking na kaso, meron pang kidnap for ransom. Kidnap for ransom. So, tapos nung nahuli, nung pinalo up, because of that privilege speech, pinalo up ng PNP, yung kaso na yan, mga after 4 days or 5 days, nahuli kaagad yung 3 Chinese na involved sa krimen, yung nag-kidnap. Ngayon, ay nahulihan pa ng mga firearms na mga ang gagandang baril, ha?
Oo. Nakita na nga po natin, sir, no, a few months ago. Right.
Kimber na armas, na handgun. Kimber na handgun at saka ZZ-75. Hindi ito baril na mga ordinaryong kriminal. Mga baril ito ng mga high finance na mga sindikato. Maraming pera. Kamahal nito mga baril nito.
Sir, walang katapusan ng kwento tungkol sa Pogo, but we need to take a very quick break. Senator Bato Dela Rosa, please, sir, stand by, and I hope we can get you on Zoom when we come back from the break. More from our guest when we return. This is Politics as Usual. Welcome back to Politics as Usual. Still with us, Senator Bato Dela Rosa, and now joining us finally via Zoom. We're talking about the POGOs and itong kontrata, 6 billion peso contract ng Pagcor sa isang tinatawag na third-party auditor. Senator Bato Dela Rosa, sir, kanina sabi niyo kumikita na, ng gugulo pa. Sakit ng ulo na ba ang POGOs at dapat na bang paalisin or pagbigyan pa ba dapat? Should we give them another chance?
Kaya, in fairness, no, hindi naman lahat ng Pogo ng gugulo. Kukunti lang ito. Kukunting mga elemento lang ng Pogo companies na involved sa krimen.
Konti lang, sir, pero very high profile kasi. Kasi hindi natin nila lahat. Okay. Anong percent po
hindi
ito?
Hindi natin nila lahat. Alam natin may mga law-abiding Pogo operators diyan na kumpanya. Opo.
Okay. So, konti.
Kaya nga, dapat ma-cleanse itong ranks nila. Sabi ko nga, ipatawag ng Pagcor ito lahat. Bigyan ng ultimatum. Bigyan na final warning na pag na-involve pa kayo ng krimen, ikakancel na namin yung permit at umuwi na kayo kung saan kayo nanggagaling.
Okay.
Deport na natin ito. Deport.
Sir, I'm about to ask for your final words, pero baka gusto nyo rin maisingit, kung baka gusto nyo lang mag-comment, no? Dahil 2 weeks ago, may nangyayari sa Philippine National Police. Dati po kayong Chief PNP. Baka you have some words of wisdom or words of advice for the PNP. At the same time, yung final words po ninyo tungkol sa Pogo.
Well, dyan sa PNP, I must say that we have to trust the process. Lahat ng mga cleansing activities na ginagawa sa PNP ay suportado po natin yan. Ginagawa ng DILG ngayon, ay suportado po natin yan. Pero yun nga lang, while they are appealing for these senior officers to tender their courtesy resignation, I am also appealing to them, the PNP and the DILG, na sana huwag nilang i-put into undue jeopardy. Huwag nilang i-jeopardize yung future ng mga career officers na ito at ang future ng kanilang pamilya. Dahil nga, maasa sila sa pensyon.
Okay. So trust the process, but for the DILG and the PNP to safeguard that process. And sir, 30 seconds, final words po tungkol sa Pogo.
Well, magpapatuloy pa yung investigation namin, no? Magpapatuloy pa yung investigation namin. Hintayin lang natin yung lalabas investigation. Basta sa akin, if the government wants to continue Pogo operations, we have to institute strict regulatory measures para walang mangyayari krimen dito at maganda yung
revenue collection ng gobyerno. Kapag sabihin naman ng gobyerno na ayaw na nila ng Pogo, din mas maganda.
Okay.
Mawala na yung Pogo.
Oo. Oo. Well, like you say, minority lang naman yon, kakaunti lang yon, and we should not be generalizing. But they give Pogos a bad name because very high profile kasi yung mga nangyayari. Anyway, Senator Bato Dela Rosa, sir, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Maraming salamat po, sir. We've been told before, don't talk politics at the dinner table or the family reunion or in Viber groups and risk warfare, digital or otherwise. But we can talk about it here at this table on this show, your weekly political appointment fix. Politics as usual. I'm Pia Hontiveros. See you back here next Wednesday, 8 p.m.